Today on Locked On Rockies. Well, we know the offense has struggled, but did you know just how much they struggle against the fastball? We dive into that and more on today's show.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 7th day of May in the year 2025. I'm your host, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies, and you have all been doing that. So appreciate so much the support here today on the show. Purple Row is talking about the troubles with the fastball. So we're going to dive into that a little bit and just kind of how frustrating it is for that one. And it's an interesting one too, where you're talking about the fastball, right? Because it's a pitch that you should be able to handle, but it's also being thrown at 100 miles an hour and oftentimes with movement. So there's always that little wrinkle when it comes to that as well. And I saw one of my least favorite takes on the internet after the game was postponed yesterday, calling for a domed stadium, doming all the and I think baseball, it's okay that I like mixing with the elements, and I like the vast differences in stadiums that we see. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. Of course, is no game last night. The Rockies and the Tigers will be facing off tonight. Hopefully it's the same pitching matchup. ESPN still listed as that, but as we know, delays, that type of stuff messes with the rhythm and all that with the players there. But I really want to see this Dollander Job matchup. I really think that would be. I think it's when you're talking about reasons to be excited for the Rockies, right? Reason to watch the Rockies before you settle in for a Nuggets playoff game tonight is that type of stuff, right? Because it's not only how does Chase do in the next start, how does Chase do against another major league team, but it's really cool when you can put that caliber of, or at least hyped up prospects face to face, head to head, in an in Coors Field too, an interesting environment, in a situation in which the Tigers are looking to continue to build off a strong recent stretch here for them. Currently have won 4 out of their last 5 ball games there. So I've taken down the Angels in 3 of 4 in their last set. But I just think it would be really cool to see. And I think when you're, if you're Chase, you this would be your opportunity to go out and kind of, try to flex a little bit here, try to show your stuff a little bit against a guy that's having a very, very strong start to the season, mixed with how it's always an interesting thing. And I think it's always an interesting test. How many pitchers, get their first chance or a debut or kind of one of their first few starts at Coors Field. I always think that's interesting. And I feel like that's a sign of trust for the opposing team's managers. Obviously it's, just how the rotation goes and just how the schedule goes. But sometimes when they're having them make their debut or things like that, I think it shows a little bit of trust in the other manager in that pitcher to be like, hey, scores, go out and get it. This is a team that doesn't matter what the stadium is. They have to hit the ball and they're not doing it. You're good at preventing people from doing that. Go do your job. So really hope that this matchup gets to go because it's just I think this will be the cool type of stuff to see. And I think it's, again, when you're trying to learn more about opposition, when you're trying to learn more about why are teams that have struggled in the past, what's making them successful, what's making them great right now. And I think this Tiger series is going to kind of open our eyes a little bit to show us like, hey, this is the Tigers went through it. Here's what's leading them. Of course, having one of the best, if not the best rotation in baseball, and very, very strong pitching mixed with some guys that are swinging the bat well. You that's a recipe for success, no matter where, who you are in any situation. So, fingers crossed, because again, even though the Rockies it hasn't been good, you still want them to be tested. You still want them to to show their stuff and show what they can do against good teams. And it's I think it's good that the Tigers are back to being a good baseball team. All right, We are heading over here to read from Skylar Timmons here. Trouble with the fastball, with a hilarious Photoshop job going on here as well from our guy Skylar. And I just want to fast forward a little bit here to just the nitty gritty here. This is the stuff that you're not going to like to hear. Entering the start of the Detroit Tigers series on Tuesday, the Rockies are slashing 222, 311, 360 against fastballs. Includes four seams, sinkers, and cutters. They rank 29th in average, 30th in on-base percentage, and 28th in slugging. The team's 130 hits are the fewest in baseball, and they also have the fewest balls in play, 431. Additionally, they have the highest strikeout rate against fastballs, 23.8%, as well as the highest whiff rate of 24.2%. By contrast, the current league average slash is 258, 345, 420 with an 18.1% K percentage. That, I mean, it doesn't get much more problematic when it comes to the Rockies' offensive approach. When you can be blown away by every fourth fastball, or where you're missing every fourth fastball in a count, that is a huge reason of why the Rockies not only do they with just striking out a lot and that impact, but that's why they don't score runs. Time after time after time after time after time after time. This year, last year, and going into the year before that. Way too often do the Rockies come up in situations with runners in scoring position. Runners or someone just gets a single, someone gets a walk. You name the situation, and it's a strikeout, and then it's a double play, and it's an immediate, just complete deflate. Nothing deflates an offense. Nothing deflates a rally more than just a bad strikeout, because it changes the mentality of the pitcher. It changes the approach, and then it's just to see how. I mean, no wonder the Rockies are in the position they're at when you can't hit the fastball. And again, fastballs are way different. It's not just hard ball going straight and fast anymore, because this again includes sinkers and cutters. So there's the movement. But it's just like it's not one thing to just be like poor in this area, right? To be bad at hitting the fastball, right? To be in this, but to be the worst, and then to be the worst across the board. I mean, it's just another example of this season of the numbers don't lie. And, this builds off of still a slow start, and maybe with Clint Hurdle, but again, we'll see if how this trend gets addressed as the rest of the season continues. Because we'll see with the change in hitting coach and moving on from Bam Bam, we'll see if it was, that part of the hitting philosophy, or if it's a deeper problem. And really, it seems like a deeper problem. It doesn't seem like it's just mentality or philosophy or approach. The Rockies just have a lot of guys that strike out a lot, and a lot of guys that aren't, they talk about it on the broadcast a bunch this year about, oh, you got to counteract the strikeouts with the home runs, and they're just not hitting the home runs. But it's like, no one, you don't look at the Rockies roster and think a ton of home runs. There's very few people that you're sitting there and thinking the home run is a big part of what they do, especially with how much they struggled this year. And now mixed with this, there's something on the tape. There's something with that opposing teams and opposing pitchers are seeing when they're coming in, and they know how to be effective using the fastball and know how to be effective at getting the hitters off balance. There's something about the approach from these guys. There's something about what the Rockies are doing with that pitchers are just feasting on them when it comes to the fastball. This is an insane rate here. Again, the Rockies are behind league average by like 30 points across the board here, and even more so. So they're down, what is that? They're down 36 points to league average on fastballs in batting average. They are down, what is this? 34 points in, I think that's slugging. And then OBP, they're down 60 points than league average. I mean, again, it's not just struggling in these areas. It's being horrendous in these areas. It's being really, really bad in these areas. So that's why when we talk about needing to make the adjustments, needing to change up the approach, there needs to be something on the back end that hopefully Clint Hurdle is working with these guys and being a little bit more successful with them. But again, it's just kind of like we're not going to see big results from this until another month through the season to see if the Rockies are actually going to be able to take what Hurdle's doing or whatever adjustments they might have been seeing after the first month of the season and apply that. But I don't think that it's going to get much better here. So here's a little bit more from Skylar on this. So the Rockies simply get overmatched by the fastball, which compounds the struggles they are already having against breaking balls. With that in mind, let's dive a little deeper. Among the current qualified Rockies, only Kyle Farmer is hitting over 300 against fastballs, while the next is Mickey Moniak with a 277 average. Only 5 total players currently have a batting average over 250 against fastballs. Meanwhile, strikeouts have been plentiful. Rookie catcher Braxton Fulford leads the club with a 60% strikeout rate, followed by Zach Veen's 50%, and Jacob Stallings leads the current roster with a 38.2%. 7 players have a strikeout rate over 30, which lends itself to the Rockies' major league leading 344 strikeouts. Mookie Betts once said, fastball, middle, you can't miss that pitch. And that is something the Rockies simply aren't doing very well. With a slash line of 202, 202, 371 on fastballs over the middle of the plate, the team sits second to last in the league, just ahead of the St. Louis Cardinals, while seeing the 8th fewest pitches in that zone. The 15.5% whiff rate they sport does rank the second highest in all of baseball, behind the Toronto Blue Jays. Ezekiel Tovar, Brenton Doyle, and Mickey Moniak have found success on those middle pitches, but players like Ryan McMahon and Hunter Goodman have struggled mightily despite seeing the most pitches on that part of the plate. Guys, that's just straight up unacceptable. Right? I mean, you cannot be at that high of a strikeout percentage, that bad against the fastball, and have nobody. You can't continue to put people in your third and fourth hole that are struggling against fastball. Now, Hunter Goodman's the exception there. I'm really kind of focusing. My lasers have been focused on Ryan McMahon because this has to be the moment where Ryan McMahon shows us that he can adapt and adjust. We cannot lose an entire full season from Ryan McMahon. This needs to be a moment where he can go in there and retool and reconfigure what he needs to do and start contributing the way that he has to on this offense. And he's not the only one. Michael Toglia needs to improve his approach at the dish dramatically by these strikeout numbers, and the inability to hit center cut fastballs is unacceptable. These numbers are just flat out you can't be surprised at anything about the Rockies when you've seen it with your eyes. I know you Rockies fans have seen it with your eyes, how bad they have been, not only with strikeouts, but by just getting blown away constantly by pitches. These numbers are so atrocious. I mean, there's really nothing else again to say about it. You have to be successful against the fastball, and you can't be by a long shot the team that swings and misses at the most amount of fastballs and misses the most amount of fastballs in the middle of the plate. Only one guy batting over 300, and again, it could be close for some guys, but it still goes to show you just how bad the Rockies offense has been this year. Just seeing if there's anything more here from our friend Skylar, but no, I think that'll cover it on there. But it's eye opening when you hear it's just such a frustrating part about this season is when not only do you know how bad and you've seen the team struggles, but then you just see the numbers and you hear the numbers and you just kind of starts sinking in just how far behind the Rockies are this season. All right, I want to talk about one. This is a little more random, a little more fun type of stuff. But I saw yesterday on the internet, people were clamoring for a dome over Coors Field, and I disagree with that. And I want to tell you why coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. They are the perfect grab and go snack because you can get the no shells variety and skip the mess. But we all know you like that, the sound, the smell, everything of cracking open some delicious pistachios from Wonderful Pistachios. They also got a ton of great flavors for you to check out as well, including being a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Wonderful Pistachios. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com for more information. Locked On Rockies here, back for segment number 2 on today's episode of the show. Thank you again so much for making us your first listen of the day. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Man, as much as it's nice to get a break from the Rockies here, it's I do like it when there's games because it gives more things to chat about there. But one thing I did see in the aftermath of yesterday's game being postponed was people calling for a dome over Coors Field, and it's just the internet, it's just rapid response. And boy, do I not envy the person who has to run social medias for the Colorado Rockies right now. What used to be a very fun job now looks like one that just does not seem like a very enjoyable one whatsoever. But anyway, a lot of and is this real? Are they actually calling for it? I mean, I've seen it before, but calling for a dome over Coors Field because of weather delays, and this is the case for a lot of teams, especially this month of the season where the weather, especially in Colorado and other places throughout April, is a bit wacky and not always conducive to baseball. And I think my big takeaway one is that just ruins a good chunk of what Coors Field's all about. And yes, the Rockies do it that, but in terms of weather delays, most of them happen in the beginning part of the season, and the Rockies grounds crew is usually very, very good at making sure ball games can happen. So in terms of like overall the grand scheme of things of them getting delayed and stuff, sure, it's a bummer for your plans, and I'm sorry if rain delays and things like that have ruined your Rockies experiences in the past. But I think Coors Field, it's such a beautiful ballpark because of the views, even with all the stuff that's being built around it, and them being and the skyline changing a bit. But it's still just nice to be out in the sun. Even there's plenty of reasons to enjoy being out in the elements there. And I think what makes baseball really cool compared to other environments and other sports is the fact, and football's got a little bit of it because some are dome, some aren't, some are turf, so they have a little bit of different, but like, I think it's really cool that baseball has so many different stadiums. I think it's really cool that when you like home field advantage or any of that, being at home has just so many different X factors, I think, which is really, really cool. I think it's really cool that baseball does still have a mix of old stadiums with the new ones and kind of still embraces a little bit of the old guard. Like, it's pretty, because Fenway Park would never get built right now, right? Never, no chance. But now, you can't imagine the Red Sox in Boston without Fenway Park, the Cubs in Wrigley Field. And I'm saying that more so because I think it's cool when places have unique stadiums, and that includes the dome. Like Seattle here, they need it. They need the retractable roof. And I think retractable roofs could work for a lot of teams in a lot of areas. I just don't think Colorado really needs it. I mean, I think when more often than not, I got to imagine that Colorado ends up being a team with some of the fewest delays. Well, cancellations. Delays might be a different story, because there are places in the East Coast that are getting soaked all the time, and other places, and certainly places that have need the domes, the Texases, the Arizonas, and like I mentioned, here in Washington. But it's I think if baseball stadiums were more standardized, all had very similar dimensions, all were inside, all had all this stuff, I think baseball would be a more boring game. I think it, and I think it would be a less fun experience to go, because as much of, and I guess maybe this is just maybe this is the Rockies fan part of the brain of mine speaking here for this, but it's like, there is the game, but there's also the atmosphere of just hanging out and being at the ballpark and just kind of enjoying the weather and enjoying the night and enjoying everything. And, the dome stadiums are great when it's, you're escaping a million degrees, you're escaping the elements, a downpour or something like that. But it's nice when you're sitting down there at Coors on a summer evening, and it's still warm and all that stuff. I was just talking about that. But I also think it just helps the different stadiums just help make baseball so unique and help make baseball so special. I think there's a reason why you hear more about, I guess maybe this is just because I'm more baseball focused. Maybe this isn't as true, but I've heard more about people wanting to go to every baseball park, every ballpark in the country versus every basketball arena, every football game. And there's a part because there's way more opportunities and way more games. And you can, if you plan a summer, your big summer plan could be to do that. And mixed with the fact that, for the cost of all these other sports. But I just think when you go to a home team, a stadium, right? When you go to a baseball stadium, it's just so much more. It's so much more of a unique sports experience, a sports viewing experience. It's what's the food of this place? Where's the best seats? Where do people like to go? What's the atmosphere? Is it, does the crowd get into it? Is there the roll call? When do they do the wave? For those type of questions. And it's not to say that the domes prevent that. I mean, look at Toronto. I think Toronto can get rocking. It's cool. There's plenty of evidence for it to be exciting. But I think if every stadium had to be domed and all that stuff, you lose a little bit of the uniqueness that is baseball. Like, because football is a little bit different of a story when you only have so many games and and every game matters so much. With the long schedule that baseball has, I think, and the flexibility to have these things, I think it's cooler to have the unique stadium environments that set baseball apart from other games, from other sports. And, for me, like personally, like instead of putting domes on every stadium or every stadium having to have a retractable roof for that, I'd rather shorten the season. I think I think I'd be more on board with a shortened season versus the addition of a bunch of stuff to the top of to stadiums and stuff like that. Just because, again, baseball is supposed to be a unique and different sport, as every sport's supposed to be. Every sport's way different than the other one, right? So I think with everything that makes baseball unique, the stadiums are another one of those key things. And I think people would hate if Coors Field was in a dome or had a roof over it. I mean, because I really don't think it impacts them as much as it might other teams. But I can certainly see why people are frustrated because it's cold and not really the best place to play for the first month and a half of the season. All right, we're going to wind down the show with some comments, and we're going to keep it a little quick, a little short and easy today here. But we got to take one more break before we wrap it up and get ready for tonight's matchup against the Detroit Tigers. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM. and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's 5% off your first order when you use promo code SH5 at supplyhouse.com. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. You know who I am going to be intrigued by in this series is I want to continue to see Hunter Goodman continue to grow into a position where I think the confidence is growing. He's growing into the position that he is and establishing himself in this lineup. And I think that's the same could be said with Beck. I want to see these guys continue to grow and show the flex a little bit against a team that, you know, that could get their number a little bit. I mean, really get all of their numbers. I mean, the Rockies are outmatched across the board here when you're looking statistically against the Tigers. The Tigers are statistically better than the Rockies and considerably better than the Rockies across the board here. So if the Rockies want to kind of start to shake off that first month, if they want to impress a little bit, this is a series in which you can make a little noise here. A Tigers team that I wouldn't say is you know, unable to be impacted, you know, because it's hard to find their weaknesses right now. But this is a situation here where if you want to start this month off right, you gotta step up to the challenge here. And this is gonna be a solid challenge because the Tigers have been playing good ball of late here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They have won, let's see, they have won 8 of their last 11 ball games here. You know, so this is a team, and again, this is a team that is very good. So I'd like to see these young guys, these two guys that have kind of started building something here, take that next step forward here, because again, it's gonna be tough here. The Tigers have hit 20 more home runs than the Rockies. They have scored 73 more runs. The Tigers have a team batting average that is 46 points higher than the Rockies. I mean, across the board here. This is a situation where the Rockies on paper are going to be outmatched. The big thing, the closest category that the Rockies are here in terms of the same thing are walks, plate discipline, good approach at the plate, and not getting blown away by the fastball. And the Rockies might have a chance at winning a ball game. It's Coors. You got to make the team uncomfortable. You got to make these teams uncomfortable when they come into Coors Field. And the Rockies have yet to do that so far this year. Let's see. Let's finish off here with a comment from Raul. Tigers sent down Torkelson last year. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you for the show. I appreciate you tuning in as well. Tigers sent down Torkelson last year for a terrible performance and brought in a veteran bat and Mark Kana and made a decent run last year. Rockies should do the same with Big Mike. Emphasis on the K. Maybe there will be a situation if it continues. I mean, and it might already be at that point where a demotion of Michael Toglia might be the case, but there is a point where you will that some of these guys do have to keep just going through it, and I think Michael Toglia is a prime example of that. They're going to have to break through. They're going to have to show that they can break free of this, that they can again bring it up again, make the adjustment. That is what we're preaching here so much. All right, I got to run here actually, but thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We'll be back in action with more Locked On Rockies tomorrow, talking about the Rockies and Tigers series after a couple days off. We'll see how a couple days of rest after a long start to the season help the Rockies as well. Maybe get their legs a little bit underneath them. We'll see if that's an impact as well. But folks, thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB or stay up to date with a busy time in Colorado sports with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs. Until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.